Okay, this is how to solve quadratic functions and where we've been studying so far in vertex form. So as are written in like vertex form. So basically what happens is in order to undo a square, you're going to have to do the square root, okay, to both sides. So in this case, in order to undo that, now this is the trick when you do the square root, because your calculator is not going to give you the correct answer. So your calculator isn't always the smartest, because we already know that negative times a negative is a, hopefully you said positive in your head. So when square rooting, you're going to have to get two answers, and it's both going to be the positive and the negative. So you're going to have to know how to do that, because your calculator, again, is not going to give you the correct answer. So we start out easy. So you've got 36 is equal to x squared. And I started you out easy with an easier problem. So now we have to, this says that I have to square root both sides. So I'm going to square root by 36. I'm going to square root 36. And so then we use Desmos. I mean, come on, use your friend if you don't know this. If you're not good at your multiplication facts, let's just move on and use your friend. We're perfectly fine with that by this time. I mean, I am totally fine with that. So, oops. There we go. Sorry, I was getting my Desmos open. So I'm going to type in the square root of 36, and I get 6. But notice that I only get positive 6. I did not get the negative version of that. And the reason why, and so this is 6, x is 6, but I also know, oh yeah, negative 6 times negative 6 is also positive 36. So my answer to this one will be plus and minus 36. So this answer, let's double check. Let's trace to find those points. So without using, if you solve by using Desmos, you will not get full credit. That's what I just said, because it will only give you positive 6. So this is why it's really important we go back and look. So this equation, y is equal to x squared. My vertex of this is 0, 0. And I know that this is going to be a U-shaped graph. All right, and then my next thing is that this is y is 36. So we're going to type that into our lovely Desmos. So I'm going to type this into Desmos. So I'm going to type y equals x squared. And then I'm going to type in y equals 36. And I can't see my black line, okay? So I got to go back, and I've got to go here, and I've got to zoom it. I've got to change. So now I've got my purple. I've got my purple graph right here, and then I've got my black line. And I already know that it's the general shape of a U, so I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit so I can see more things. And so now I'm just going to trace it, and I'm going to hit. Oh, so when x is 6, y is 36. So that point right there says that when x is 6, y is 36. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to say, oh yeah, when x is negative 6, y is 36. So now my values is at negative 6, and at 6, I'm going to get 36. So that's, and then this is the cool way to write it, because you can write both. You could write plus and minus 6, or you can write x is equal to 6 and x is equal to negative 6. This is just faster. So you can see that sometimes, and sometimes we're lazy. Okay, so that's example 1. That one's not so bad. Example 2, it's a little bit harder. So we've got to get that x squared to itself. So when I go through and I get that x squared to be by itself, you need to undo. So to undo, I'm adding a positive 4. So to undo and adding a positive 4 would be to subtract 4. So I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. 4 minus 4 is 0. So I'm stuck with x squared. And 5 minus 4 is 1. So now I've got 1 equals x squared. And again, 1 is equal to x squared. And remember, I got to square root it. So I got to square root both sides. So now I get x squared is equal to the square root of x, is just x, and then this is 1. Desmos will give me 1, but I'm smarter than Desmos, and I know, oh yeah, negative 1 times negative 1 is also positive 1. So then x will also be negative 1. Or again, you can write it plus and minus 1. Okay? You can write it any one of these two ways. So let's check. So when y is 5, we're going to check this. So when y is 5, we're going to check this. And now my equation is y minus 4 is equal to x squared. So my vertex is 0, negative 4. And let's just face it, you guys are going to use your calculator. So I'm going to go through here. We're going to type in our equation. So I'm going to type in 4 plus x squared. Y equals 4 plus x squared. And I'm going to make it so we can see. So there's my lovely equation. And there's my lovely function. And that's pretty good. All right, and notice that it's all the way up 0. There's 5, so 0, 4. So I'm going to kind of sketch that. My vertex is at 0, 4. Just nice to see. And I get that graph. It's a U. It's a pretty sketch. It's not going to be perfect. A sketch means that it's the general shape. It's not, when I ask you to graph, I want it pretty perfect. That's why you're going to make those points. But if I ask you to make a sketch, it's just the general shape of it. And then you just write the important things. So the next one, this equals 5. Okay, so now I've got y is equal to 5 on my next equation that I'm going to type in because these both have to equal 5. So then y is equal to 5. And now I've got this graph. So my equations, check your functions. So you've got y, oh, sorry, I messed that up. It's 4 plus x squared, sorry, and y equals 5. This should be y is equal to 4 plus x squared, and y equals 5. So y equals 5, and then I just take my Desmos, and I'm going to make this bigger so we can see. So, and then I just find where they intersect. So when y is 5, I get negative 1, and when y is 5, I get positive 1. So on my graph here, y is equal to 5, I get this to be negative 1, and I get this to be positive 1. Notice my graph is not perfect. Notice my graph is not perfect. So then that matched what we got up here, positive 1, negative 1. Okay, let's go to example 3. So example 3. So you got 9 is equal to x minus 3 squared. So in order to undo that, we got to solve this part. We got to undo the square because PEMDAS rule says, what are you doing to x? So I have x, I'm subtracting 3, and then I square it. So in order to undo, we have to square root. So I'm going to square root first. I'm going to undo that by square rooting. I'm going to square root. So now I get 3 is equal to x minus 3. Oh, wait a second. But I know with Desmos, the square root of 9 is positive 3, and is x minus 3. So I know that I'm going to have both of those. So I have 3 is x minus 3, and negative 3 is x minus 3. Because the square root of 9 is positive 3 and the square root of 9 is negative 3. Again, Desmos will not give you that. No calculator will give you the positive and the negative version of that. This is where you have to know, you have to use your brain. So then the opposite of subtracting 3 is going to be to add 3. So I have to add 3 to both sides. So that goes away. 3 plus 3 is 6 is equal to x. Add 3, add 3. That goes away. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0 is equal to x. So now those are going to be my two answers. So I'm going to write my equation. X minus 3 squared. And then my other equation is y is equal to 9. So I'm going to type both those equations into Desmos. So y is equal to, parentheses, x minus 3. Okay, and it kind of goes off the chart. I get that. The next one is y is equal to, and then it's 9. Okay, and then I go to find it, and I have these u. So this, I'm going to find my vertex point just because, and I have 3, 0. So my vertex point is over here. It hits right there. And now you've got this, y is equal to 9. And then what happens is that point is 6, 9. So this point right here is when x is 6. And then this point over here, my picture's not perfect, is when this is 0. Again, my picture's not perfect. That's okay. My picture on my paper doesn't always match because I got that out a little bit. I don't care. This is a sketch. So a sketch doesn't make it be perfect. You're just getting that general shape. So when x is 0, matched up, and when x is 6, matched up. So now I know that we did it. Now I know that everything is done correctly. So that is your answer. This was done correct because it matched up with your graph.